media reality show here. Great to be back. Very excited to be back as the third year as a head coach here at the University of Illinois. Brought with us three great players. Very exciting time in our program right now. Just starting since January. January we were in our first January bowl game in a long time at the University of Illinois. In February we signed a recruiting class that I think is going to continue to build the tradition of the players and the roster development that we believe in. In March we jumped into the beginning of spring football and started a ticket campaign that today I was told that we have over 9,500 new season ticket holders. You get close to 10,000 new season tickets in a year. That's doing some good things. So very, very excited about that. Ended the spring semester with the highest GPA in the history of the school with over a 3.0 of our entire roster. Just a really exciting time to be where we're at. Also in this conference, I'd like to welcome obviously 4 new coaches in the Big Ten West. The transition that has happened since a year ago. All these rematch games bring a new perspective, a new staff, and wish them the best of luck, but especially to bring Tony Petitti in as our commissioner. Obviously, it's been a refreshing sight to see him so engaged with our coaches. We've had several talks with him, even just this last week to have our roster adjust to have 120 players in our fall camp. It's something that every coach in America have been trying to get, and once Tony and his crew got a hold of that, I know Greg Schiano also had a big part of that, to have that movement happen for our players. I think it just benefits the game in so many ways. So really exciting time in our program. For me as a head coach, this is my 15th media day. It's my 10th media day here in the Big Ten Conference, 7 at Wisconsin and 3 here, and couldn't be more excited about the state of the game, the football, our players, the roster. Everybody wants to talk their views on NIL and the transfer portal. I think as a head coach now, going in my 15th year, I've just learned to embrace and really handle change and the nuances and adjust, and you can't complain. I always say this as a coach, right? On game day, you just give me the rules and who we're going to play, and I'll play the game, right? And kind of take that same approach now, how we run our program and what we do, and it's a very exciting time that staff, as a staff, obviously lost a coordinator last year who went in our conference, Ryan, and wish him all the best in that, but that brought an opportunity to have transition on my staff, and I believe now my 6th head coach or 6th coach that's worked for me that's become a head coach. But with my staff I currently have, there's 5 new coaches that are in new roles. Aaron Henry, who was my DB coach a year ago, is now transitioned to our coordinator, and then I brought 4 new coaches into our program who have been just a home run so far. We haven't won a game yet, but I love what I've seen in them and the development of our players, the faith in our program, and the recruiting cycle. So a lot of things to get excited about, but I'm really excited to answer questions for 7 minutes because those media guys took a lot of my time, which I'm not disappointed in. So right. Open it up for questions.
Just a reminder, get your hand up. We'll get you the mic. Down here.
Adam Rosen, the Daily Line. I just want to ask, how are you and your coaching staff working to promote a culture of welcoming and safety in your locker room? Obviously, there's stuff at Northwestern. I just want to ask, how is your welcoming and culture in the locker room?
You know, one of the things that's really unique in college football right now is there used to be just this, influx of freshmen, right? But now, we actually do kind of a program orientation, not only in June when we have our new arrivals of high school players, but for us in January we had almost a dozen high school players, about 4 or 5 transfer players. We've added another 3 or 4 transfer players this summer. So at any point in our year, in our program, it never really changes. We get our players heavily involved. I literally don't recruit or have official visits on our campus unless all of our players are there, because our players are our greatest representatives of what we want. I've been a head coach 15 years, and I think about what I learned as a player, as an assistant, and it's so important in today's world to stay on top of everything that touches our players' life, right? Not only when they're in the building. We literally have some things on the doors when you're walking in and walking out that kind of give you a way to think about where you're at and what you're doing, and I couldn't be happier. We actually, in the portal world we're living in, I don't know where we stand right now, but I know at one point when we went into the recruiting season, we were actually tied for 2nd for fewest number of portal lost players, right? And what that's telling me is kids like being in our program. They like the way they've been treated. They like the way they get coached. They take a player that when we got there, he had started 5 games. He was an unranked player in the recruiting cycle, didn't even have a star. He wasn't a 1-star, 2-star, or 3-star with Devin Witherspoon, and he became the 5th pick in the NFL draft. And I think that opens people's eyes.
Coach, we're going to go to our right in the back.
Dustin Schutte, Indiana Sports Beat. Brett, I'm going to throw a non-football question your way. The new Barbie movie's out. Have you taken your daughters to see it? Do you have plans to go see it? Can you give us some thoughts on this this new movie?
I saw a little social media tweet that the money it brought in a weekend compared to the next rated movie was pretty impressive. I see a lot of Barbies. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. I know my 6-year-old Bella is watching, so hi, Briella. I bought a lot of Barbies. We had a Tooth Fairy show up the other day. Tooth Fairy is going for $20 these days. I couldn't believe that price. But we bought a lot of Barbie stuff for $20. So I don't really get to talk a lot of Barbie, so I appreciate the question. Have not taken her to see it, but I'm sure we're going to see it. We're kind of in the mermaid mode right now, so we're still heavy in the mermaids.
We're going to stay in the back right.
Sorry, Brett, over here. Anderson Kimball, Decatur Herald and Review. I have just two about Jim Leonard, who you announced yesterday. I guess, how much did he help you when you were in your first year as a defensive coordinator at Wisconsin, and how much is he going to help the staff now this year?
Yeah, Jimmy and I first met. I became the defensive coordinator at the University of Wisconsin, and I remember walking in and Coach Alvarez said, "Hey, there's one guy that you got to talk to on the defense side of the ball, and if you get him to believe in what you're doing, you'll get the entire defense and the entire team to believe in you." So I literally had a meeting set up with Jimmy when I got to campus the first day, brought him in, showed him the package that we were going to run. I believe Wisconsin that year that I took over, it was ranked 87th or 88th in the country on total defense. So I talked about what we were going to do. We were going to try to retain the things they did well. I had every defensive coach was still on my staff, so it was kind of an audition for me to teach Jimmy what I had to teach the coaches. An hour after that, he was smiling ear to ear, and I think he went on to have a very special season. Not that he wasn't good before, but it just made a huge impact on me and how quickly he learned the game. I believe we went to the University of Wisconsin at the end of the year, University of Iowa at the end of the year, and I believe he picked the first two third down plays in that game out of a new formation, and we didn't even talk about the adjustment. He made it on the field as a player. So I've really learned early that he knows the game. Stayed in touch with him during his entire NFL career. I knew he'd be a good coach. Obviously talked extensively to him why he was up there before I came back in the league. Paul talked about the savvy he hit. I know I talked to Coach Alvarez and about his presence and his awareness, his feel. Obviously, when he became the head coach, we just played them the day before, so I shot him a text and wished him best of luck, but I said, I can't help your ass right now, But started a conversation with him even back then that wishing him all the best, all the luck. Then as the things proceeded, when he didn't get retained, I kind of reached out to him and said, hey, have you thought about what you want to do? And we just started conversations, invited him down to spend a couple days with our staff. I think he was still trying to figure it out, so it's probably a question better for him, but he'll be a senior analyst for us, and he'll handle responsibilities that really touch all three phases of the game. He's already had conversations with Coach Lunny and obviously Coach Henry, and Jimmy was a really good special teams player as well, so I'm going to use him in all three phases. He won't be with us on game days, home or away. He'll kind of be in the office Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then he'll go be with his family on the weekends.
Down in front here. Nope, right here. You. Nope, right there.
Thanks. Phil Thompson, Chicago Tribune. Two-parter, if you can indulge me, Coach. Pat Fitzgerald said that he didn't know what was going on at Northwestern, and given that, as a coach, do you think you need a more hands-on, proactive investigation to see what's going on within your program? And then the second part, it took 15 years for Illinois to get to 8 wins. What can you do, or what are you doing to ensure that you build on that progress?
Yeah, two completely different questions, but I'll kind of tie my answer into both because I think it comes from conversations that you have with your own university. Listen, Fitz and I are very close, and whatever happened there, that's not a conversation I don't know anything about and don't have the ability to comment on. But I can tell you what happens at Illinois. And, when I received the first phone call from Josh Whitman, I realized that this was a guy that I wanted to be a partner with, right? He was a guy that played there and played very, very well, played in the NFL, became a lawyer, tried that world, and got into administration and was looking for a coach that wanted to sustain success, right? And that was something that was very important for me I wanted to get back into head coaching, but I didn't want to go to a situation where I didn't think it could be sustained, right? I wanted this to be my last rodeo. Signed a contract recently that literally has a no-compete with anybody in the Big Ten because I found my home. I know where I want to go. And to walk that walk every day with Josh, I think I was driving over yesterday. One of my favorite exercises as a head coach, I literally drive our players here to the Big Ten media. And the whole time we're driving, I'm asking them questions, right? Questions that they're going to get. Isaiah Williams, he caught 83 balls last year. Do you got to catch 85 balls for it to be a successful season? And he answered it the way that I thought he would answer it. We'll talk about it, critique it. I obviously knew they were going to get a question centered around Northwestern, and to hear their responses and their reactions that they gave tells me what we're doing, right? They basically repeated everything that I believed had happened. I distinctly remember when I circled back to Josh, my first spring, we were in a spring practice, and one of the things we do at Illinois is we play in all conditions, so we practice in all conditions. The only thing that makes us go inside is if there's lightning. So we practice in rain, sleet, snow, AM, PM, and everything in between. And I got done with a rain practice, and Josh had came to practice, and he and I were talking at the end of practice. It's probably about a half hour after we were done with practice, and I looked around. He and I were the only two on the field in a rain, standing by ourselves. And at that point, I'm like, if an AD is going to stand outside and talk to me in the rain a half hour after practice, I knew that this was a guy that cares about our program. Josh is in our building every day, for the most part, year-round. A lot of the times, 2 or 3 times a week. I'm in the building every day, our coaches. So I don't really worry about what's happening in our building. I don't ever mention the word culture. I just never have. I'm not a guy that thinks it's a buzzword that it just isn't something that's ever set well with me. But I talk about what we do to have a season like we just had and the talent that we have returning and to have the highest GPA in school history. It tells me we're doing a lot of good things.
We'll go over here for the final question.
Jeremy Warner, 24/7 Sports, Illini Inquirer. Brett, on that sustaining success, what gives you confidence that this team can take that next step and help you sustain success?
Jeremy, it's a great question I ask myself every day, right? Like I look for indicators. I think the guys that are around me, the people that are around me know that when we were here a year ago, I wasn't going to put a prediction on how many wins we're going to have, but I was pretty sure we're going to be a bowl team. I knew that we had a good football team that was going to grow and build. I look for indicators of how our guys carry themselves off the field. I look for indicators on how they adapt and adjust to new players. When I was riding over those 3 guys yesterday, I kind of was asking them questions about players that I haven't seen, right, that only they've seen. And just to hear them say what they said with the intelligence that they did, it tells me that our best players are observant of what's going on around them. These 3 guys we brought over could have easily been 3 draft picks last year in a class that was highly talented, but they came back to make a better opportunity for themselves in our football program. And we got a lot of unfinished business. Last year we were a 8-5 team, but it broke up into a 7-1 team and a 1-4 team. And I focused myself on the 1-4 more than any time in my career. Obviously, it all happened at the end of the year, so there had to be some contributing factors that are on me as a coach and development and program-wise. So I like where we're at. I love some of the young influx of talent. For me as a head coach, this is my 15th year, as I said earlier, but I've never felt more engaged with our roster, the way that they're being developed, the way they're being coached, and the way that they react to our coaches is pretty cool.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you very
Best
much,
of luck this
ILL.
season.